This sought-after delicacy, known as whitebait, is a very, very tasty food, often cooked into what we call a whitebait patty. Whitebait migrate from the ocean into the rivers and streams to spawn. They particularly seek out submerged grass areas to lay their eggs. Adult whitebait form several species of a family of fish called galaxids. As humans enjoy eating whitebait, so too do trout. And I'm here this morning, early in the morning, with Wayne Barnes. We're going to fish where the side stream comes into a big braided river just north of Christchurch. We're going to use the whitebait pattern I'm going to show you. And what we're going to do is dead drift it today. So we're going to use these tungsten beads, the whitebait pattern, and an indicator. So in many ways, it's just the same as upstream nymph fishing. It's important to use an indicator that's easy to see and floats high in the water. And here we have a typical rig. You can see the whitebait on the end. Then we're going to have a dropper of about between 30 and 60 centimetres going to the tungsten bead. From the tungsten bead, nominate the length to the indicator to suit the depth of water. Here Wayne starts off with the indicator method and quickly hooks up. This is a great alternative when the retrieve method doesn't work. The real positive for fishing the whitebait pattern upstream dead drift is that you do not disturb the water as much as retrieving. And as always, it pays to experiment. The retrieve method can work very well and is time tested. Here's a very nice sized brown taken on the troutlands swimming whitebait. Here shows an early example of the whitebait pattern. You can see the action and profile and translucence looking a lot like the natural whitebait. We'll begin by using white 3-bar monocord and a long shank size 8 hook. We're just going to wrap the shank of the hook and cut off the excess. Now we're going to tie some lead wire along the hook shank, and we'll tie that in nice and securely. If few turns over, and always a really good idea just to put a slight smear of super glue here. That's going to help hold the fly together. These flies get a lot of work. Now we're going to slowly wind the lead wire forward and leaving a little bit of room at the eye. We're just going to stop and fold that excess back. That sort of widens the body and gives a nice sort of baitfish look. We'll trim off the end. Now a few turns over that to secure, and we have a really good foundation for this fly. For the next stage, we're going to get several strands of pearl crystal flash and tie them in on top like so. Trim off quite short. The main function for this is just to stop the nymph skin wrapping around the hook shank. A few more turns to secure. Now I'm going to get the nymph skin and we're going to tie it in on top. For this particular one I'm tying here, I'm using white nymph skin, but also remember the translucent is particularly effective for the whitebait pattern. Once you've tied that in, we're just going to wind it forward with a nice sort of look here. Just looks a lot like the underbody of the whitebait. We're going to wind that forward, very easy. Now when we get to the eye of the hook, fold the nymph skin over and put a few good turns to secure. Now we're going to go back about a quarter of the way back along the shank, you can see here, and I'm going to fold the nymph skin over the top and tie that in nice and securely, as you can see. Now holding the nymph skin back, I'm just going to secure it in using the monocord like so, just with gentle spirals, like so. And now we're going to go forward. This holds the nymph skin in place in a nice natural no flash type of way. Now we'll trim the nymph skin off to the desired length, and already you can see we're starting to look like a whitebait more and more. Now we're going to get a few strands of cream coloured poly yarn or wool, whatever suits you, and tie that in on the side. This is going to look like the small pectoral fins that the whitebait have. Now we're just going to pull it underneath the fly to the other side and tie it in on the other side, like so. And now we're going to trim these. As I say, keep these quite small, like so. Remove any untoward pieces. Looking good. Now we'll put a few more turns on to secure and whip finish off the fly. Trim off the cord. Now as always, we're going to put super glue on the head where we've just whip finished. And more importantly, we just want to put a smear of super glue over all those ribs. This helps hold the fly together. As we've only used monocord, it's not particularly strong, but when you put super glue on, it is. And here we are here, we've finished stage 1 of the whitebait fly. For the next stage, we're going to put the markings on the whitebait with a permanent black felt pen. I just like to put a small piece of 1/4 inch wood underneath here, which makes it easier to hold the fly in place while you do this. Firstly, put a little bit of an eye on either side, like so. And now what we're going to do is just put a series of dots going down the body. And as you can see, you just slowly work your way down. The more you do this, the even and the better you get. Not that the fish are going to notice that. And the final stage is just to trim the nymph skin to form the taper that looks a lot like the natural shape of a whitebait body, as you can see here. Often when you're fishing these whitebait patterns in bigger rivers, boisterous rivers and deeper rivers with a faster flow, a more weighted version comes in handy. It's very similar to the pattern I've just shown you, except for the addition of a small set of silver dumbbell eyes at the front that help this fly sink faster and also look very much like the eyes that you find on a whitebait. The tying method is exactly the same as I just showed you. So it's a really good idea to have both these versions in your fly box. This one particularly suited to cast and retrieve method or swinging across in the current. Also, sometimes what I like to do is just put a small felt pen, a red marker pen, to look like the gills on the underside. Also, these whitebait, in particular the one I showed you first, work really well inland, in rivers and lakes. Even if there are no whitebait, it's worked remarkably well. This fly owes a lot of its success to the way the fly's tail wiggles and swims in the water, as you can see here. Even as it drops down, it swims.